That's the old one. I got a new one. That was the rough
Sitting
draft.
on top of the world, knowing there's someone who wants to know me. A very special girl. Shows me I could be her world. It sounds like a symphony. Ain't nothing you've ever heard before. Breaks through the centuries. Through all eternity. 'Cause love never goes out of style. Sometimes it takes a while, but I'm right here. Oh, love never goes out of style. Sometimes it takes a while, but I'm right here.
And we're right here with Ninja Cowboy Jim Chacon himself, the man, the myth, the legend. I don't know if there's anything this man can't do.
I'm not a great swimmer.
Oh, well, there we go. And you just left us for the beach, and you can't swim.
I'm working on it. I have a leash. I have a leash on my surfboard. It's kind of like do or die. You know.
I think we have
I
think we kind of all feel like we have a leash on our surfboard right now.
Hey, there you go. There you go. What is it? Full moon in Aquarius right now?
I don't even know what's going on. I know that every time
I do. I could tell y'all.
Going. Well, every time there seems to be something going on, it's like Mercury retrograde or something like that. It's like just demolishing my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can look at it that way. It's also churning up all the stuff you need to get rid of. So it's kind of showing you your shadow side. That's the whole point of the eclipse.
No, for sure.
That's the whole point of the
that was the rebirthing experience and being careful what you pray for.
Always. Monkey to Luffy.
For sure. I was just talking with Tim Sinclair about August Rush, that movie, that the song that I just played from you, your story, your version of storytelling and your style of music, like it just takes me back to scenes in that movie. And I'm like, oh my, that's Ninja. That's Ninja. It was the first time I heard you play. I was like, okay, that's all he's got. He's had to have seen August Rush. He's had to have seen that movie. And you can definitely tell that you've watched that movie. Like that movie was put together by some people from Juilliard, and you have adapted a lot of that education without having to pay for it. And that's beautiful.
I paid for it. Trust me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Someone asked me one day on Instagram because of my post, someone said, how do you know all this stuff? And I just wrote like real simple one sentence. I wrote lots of pain, period.
Holy cow, I almost spit out my coffee. That would have been a whole board. Oh man.
Hey, I like it when girls spit.
Good Lord. Okay. So how long have you been performing? I know that you are responsible for the shit show we call Cynthia's life right now. A part of it. Ninja Cowboy is the founder of the Texas State Songwriters Championship. He was responsible for the first 8.5 years of success and was responsible for keeping Cynthia's sanity for the first 6 to 8 months through my experience with the Texas State Songwriters. And we've gone so far just from, I mean, first off, it wasn't an easy feat to get Cynthia to agree to this because Cynthia knows that she's already taken on a lot of the world that she can't handle. But I'm good at this part of the world. So after a year of Ninja saying, Cynthia, are you ready yet? I know you said to wait. I'm trying to let you wait, but are you ready yet? Then Cynthia finally was like, all right, dude, I'm ready. And it's been insane, man. It's been a ride. It's been a beautiful journey though. Absolutely beautiful. Being able to like impact people's lives on a one-on-one basis, and be able to see that, and be able to see like instances like Justin Pinter, you know, our events are community events, and he is like me, and we both have a special needs child, and to be able to have an artist come up and say, Cynthia, I have never, ever in the 14 years of my daughter being alive seen her so happy, and I'm grateful you're doing what you're doing. That, man, having that opportunity, I just got goosebumps all the way down my legs. Having that opportunity is life-changing, and it's definitely been a process of life-changing, but I'm here for it, and I'm glad that I survived that process, and I'm excited about the future, and I'm excited to hear about what you've been up to since you gave up your baby to focus on your music. I know you've been you've been to every music mecca that there is in the last 6 months. Let's hear some of those stories. What was your favorite place?
First off, I want to give you mad props because I told you, but I'm sure you know a lot more now, how challenging running that type of show is, because you have to deal with a lot of different people and a lot of different personalities and artists and stories. And I can't say like firsthand because you I can't keep up with everything, but from what I see, I feel like you're killing it. And we had some great high moments in the 8.5 years I ran it. But what I've seen, and I love, and I want to give you mad props before I get into my story, is that you've really helped to pull a lot more people together in a much shorter time than I did. And I think that's so beautiful. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to hand it off to someone who's different than me, because I'm a very, even though it doesn't seem like it, no one ever believes me when I say this, but I'm a very introverted person. And I don't really, I love people, but in big groups, I get a lot of anxiety. And it's one of the reasons I like to be on stage. It's kind of a shield of having to be in the mix. So my whole life I've enjoyed being on stage because it's kind of that, protective barrier. But what I've seen is you've done tremendous work, and I think sometimes you forget to focus on that and give yourself credit for that, because like most humans, we focus on the things that aren't working as opposed to the blessings and the things that are working. And I've seen an amazing amount of people pulled together from all different parts of Texas. And I saw you actually do this with when I met you and you booked us in Wichita Falls, and I saw how hard you worked. I saw the way you were with people. I saw your strength. You shared some of your story with me. I knew that if anyone could do it, it was you. And so I was very thankful that it found its way to another warrior like myself, because it is no easy task trying to flip a dollar on an entertainment service, and then dealing with all the people you have to deal with. So I want to give you mad props first, because I believe in you. I believe in what you've been doing, and I see a lot of happy people that are involved, and you're doing things. I don't agree with everything, but I'm not supposed to. That's why you hand it off. You let someone else take the ship somewhere, because you just have to go in a different direction. But the things that I love, and the things that I saw that you're doing, that I was just like, man, setting up these regular shows at Hilltop, giving artists different opportunities all over, especially the social media presence, starting the Texas Brew Radio and incorporating, that was something I always wanted to do. I never got done. And I felt like, that right there was a win-win, because now you have this network of artists, and you have the radio station, and it's just, as long as you're consistent, it can become anything you want. And I was telling Bud last night, my right hand man, about how when we started, because he was actually there with me for the first creation of the first year. He's been working for me for maybe 8 years now, but he was there when I started the Texas Songwriter the first year, and he did all of the artwork and a lot of the liaison stuff and a lot of the A&R work with the venues and the artists. And I was telling him how the first year we ended up, I was such a different person the first year, because I know I seem kind of strict and militant now, but I was so much more then. And if I got into, if I talked to a venue owner about, this is the amount of money we expect for the show, and they, they didn't want to pay me or came up short, I'd be like, well, fine, we'll go to another place. And so I switched to like 6 different places the first season, and we ended up doing it at a place. It was beautiful too. Burrow Alley in the back was patio, lights, palm trees, but it was a free deal. I didn't make any money on it. It was one of those deals. But then what was so cool, and I was telling Bud, was year 2, year 3, year 4, all the way up until I handed it off to you. We made every show was paid for. I had sponsors. I had, we were doing big artists, bringing artists to be involved with the show, like Doug Stone and Terry McBride in the Ride. And then when we left, it was originally the West Texas Songwriters Championship. I even happened to be wearing the shirt that I wore to the gym today. And that's because we were only in Abilene, I think, the first 2 or 3 years. And then I think year 4 or 5, I decided, man, we need to go statewide. And so I planned my first 10-city tour, and we went to 10 different cities. And some were small, some were big. And that was amazing for me because I hadn't been back out on the road in years since I'd left working with Epic president Ron Alexenberg, who signed Meatloaf and Kansas and Heart and Jimmy Ninja, and he helped release my first major single, Angel, on YouTube. And it kind of got me ready to get back out on the road myself. So going back to your original question, what have we been doing? Well, it was just a continuation of that. And the point I was making on that long conversation was consistency is key. That's part of the winning frequency. That's when you're consistent with a good thing, it doesn't matter how you get from point A to point Z. By the time you get to point Z, if you can get there, because a lot of people just don't have the strength. That's why I had to find someone strong. Someone had to have a backbone. They couldn't be a pushover. They had to already know the business somewhat, and they had to know how to deal with people, because you will not get to, even if you're a musician and you're trying to do something with your career, if you don't have a backbone, this industry will eat you alive. And you were the person that I knew. And I met a lot of people. I mean, in the 8.5 years I did it, I met thousands of people and listened to, well over 1,000 performances and met lots of people. But you were the only one that I thought, this person could actually do it. And I could have kept doing. I could have let one of my employees run or something, but it just wouldn't have been what it is and what it's becoming now, because it's evolved a lot since me. I was strictly about the competitions and the showcases, and you've incorporated radio. You've created a social media community that I never, I didn't really care about the social, because I had so many, I had like 4 businesses going on at the time, so I was already spread thin. But what you've done to next level it is great. I wasn't crazy about the comedians, but to give props, you're giving comedians a platform. When did they really have? And you're not even, that wasn't even an original thing, but I just feel like everything you're doing is right. You just have, the consistency. But now, after doing it for however long now, it's not easy, and it's it's very challenging, and people can be very challenging. And for every 9 things you do right, the one thing you don't do right, everyone jumps on your ass and just thinks this and thinks that, and you have to have a thick skin to be successful. But I've learned to ignore the good opinion of the tribe, as Dr. Wayne Dyer used to tell me in Boca. We'd sit in Barnes and Noble all the time, because he used to like to go there and hit on ladies. And I met him there, and we struck up a conversation one day, and he's like, and it was such a connection that we would meet up there all the time and talk. But he would always say, you have to separate yourself from the good opinion of the tribe, Jimmy. And that's the only way you can be successful. And the reason is, most people don't have the desire or the know-how to get to the level of ownership of something or running something. Even when I ran my martial arts school for many years, and everyone had an opinion, other coaches, students, parents, it's the person at the wheel that has to carry all that weight. And most people just don't get that. So, I wanted to start off this conversation by giving you some mad props, because you're dope, yo.
I appreciate it. Man, I had to question my dopeness there for a while because all of the adversity, it's been non-stop adversity. And I think one of the books that has helped me most in life is a really, really short book. It's like take you literally 5 minutes to read it. There's actually a couple of them that are like that. And one of them would be The Rhinoceros Success. And that teaches you that like a rhino, like it doesn't matter. They got daggers sticking out of their skin. They're still going to run you over. And that you have to, in business, develop that skin that you almost live your life from a third person perspective so that when the stuff does come at you, you don't take it personal. And then it's still hard to take it personal when you have passion and you're invested emotionally in your business. It's such a matrix, man, such a matrix. But we have good people like Jimmy out here educating us. He's got a book out.
Eternal Energy and Information. Say it again.
And I said, you mentioned your fight school. I mean, that's another huge accomplishment that you've had and training. And you've kind of ventured off yourself into different avenues. And I know you were saying about how you didn't think music and comedy mixed. And I've always known that I mean, first off, like musicians are hard to keep contained and comedians are like that on steroids. Like it's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
They are not
for me. That feels like too much, though. You know, it's too much. Like it's enough just to balance the artist. But I like that you did it because I want you to be different. Because why give it to someone else if you don't want them to make it better and make it, different? I believe in that.
And what's awesome about us having the comedy is that comedy and music come from the same broken place. It's literally just someone trying to get the shit out that's hurt them to make somebody else's life better. That's all it is.
Robin Williams' story. I love that you said that.
And so my thing is that our entertainment is what is keeping us sane. And so we need to support those that are in entertainment because they know the corruption that's going on in our world. And that's why we keep losing them all. They're dropping like flies. We have musicians that have 20,000 followers on Facebook. Most would be like, oh man, I made it. And they're quitting because it's so corrupt. And so it's so important to me. And it's been just as beautiful as a process with the comedy as it has with the songwriters, because these comedians are used to making light out of darkness, and their darkness is a little bit dark. And so you get a lot of the derogatory, condescending jokes that are just throwing all the shit out on the table, and not a lot of mental preparation go into the comedy. It's all just raw emotion. So with us having PG-13 shows, I'm telling you that the comedians that have stepped up and done this have wondered if they were going to piss themselves on stage, because it's not easy to get out of your comfort zone. And just getting on stage, how you were saying you were introverted, most of our comics are introverted as well. And so just getting on stage is a terrifying experience for them. And then telling them that they have to regulate what comes out of their mouth is even more terrifying. So I can tell you that every single one of my comics have been like a deer in headlights because they're like, what are we doing? What did I just get myself into? And then the whole time they're up there on stage, it's like an emotional roller coaster of, am I going to mess up? This is a radio gig. Cynthia's going to hate me. Like, I hear it every time they get off stage. They're like, how did I do? Was it okay? And they're terrified because they think that I'm going to be upset with them. And so being able to create a place for artists and create a place for comics that they can come and work on their passion without being judged for the perfection of their art is such a beautiful experience. And our audience has absolutely loved being able to see that, we're not all perfect, and we're not all claiming to be perfect, and we're not some fake image. Right. We are real, and we have what the world needs. And so I'm excited about it. I know that I have Chris Crawford Comedy. He is a public speaker by day, and he kills it with the Disney innuendos. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I have seen some Disney movies that I'm wondering who they're even catering to at this point. I know that they're catering to the adults, So if you're okay with your kids watching those kind of movies, you're going to be okay with coming to our events. And we're doing them the second Saturday of every month. And I do need to clarify, because we are no longer at Hilltop Barn. Unfortunately, I had a medical leave, and I'm assuming that whatever, they got their liquor license, and the new manager does not want kids at events. And so I can't have community events without children. And it ended up being a better move for us anyway, because of the exposure that our artists and our entertainment are going to get just off of being in the stockyards. That's before they even go to the show, because our events now are listed on the official website. And so that alone is a huge,
I'm glad to hear that.
Everything
I'm glad to hear that. One of the things I was really happy about by the end of my run, but one of the things I was happy about by the end of my run was that we had moved the show to the stockyards. I felt like that was really the heart and soul of Texas music there. And so I felt like, moving it there was where we needed to be. So I was really glad that we ended there. I'm glad to hear that that's where you moved all your present shows. So that's great.
Well, and it really, really worked out. I mean, some things happened, and I was really worried that we were going to lose that venue, and God shed the light on what really went down. And the venue was actually asking for more shows. So when I got that message, I was just like, well, thanks for letting me know that you can't accommodate anymore, and I'll take care of it. Definitely not the response that was expected of me, but I'm used to that. So
right. Well, it teaches you a lot. Ride. It's a spiritual journey for sure.
What came out of it was just what you just said, a spiritual journey, because the vision that I have and the vision that the venue has are two different visions. However, they literally fit together, because they want to have a back 40 of the stockyards, which is basically where all the original music hangs out. Because as we know, like, everybody's we got puppet master strings over here anymore. And so they were breeding original music and supporting original music before I came around. And they are still doing that. But this is going to allow us to work with multiple venues. And we're hoping that we can end up turning our second Saturday of the month shows into actual block parties between a couple of the other venues that are down there. And I'm not going to go into it, but yeah, huge opportunity, because then we can truly support the music scene down there in Fort Worth. And it doesn't matter who you're with. If you're an artist and you're performing in Fort Worth and we don't have a show that same day, send it to me, because I'll promote it. I am here for that. I want to help revitalize the Fort Worth music scene, because, like I said, 6 venues have closed down just since we started hosting our finale there. And that's a music mecca. And we took the music mecca we just took the hand from Nashville, and we can't give it back to them without trying. So I think that this is going to be a big thing to help breed original music back into the scene, and the sense of family and community, because that's something that's been lost. Like, it died with our grandparents. I say it all the time. Like, when was the last time you heard someone saying, oh no, man, I can't go this weekend, I got a family reunion? I haven't heard that shit since my grandma passed away. And I'm pretty sure that people just don't even talk about it anymore. Unless you got, some people that are like 115 years old in your family, you're not going to family reunions anymore. And that's a sad reality. And that's where our country took the wrong turn, is when we stopped being able to go to our neighbor for help. We started relying completely on the system, because they divided us and conquered us. And I'm so excited that America is starting to wake up. Like, they're starting to realize that there's an issue with our medical system. Like, why can we not get the care that we need? And now there's 25 states that have adapted self-testing facilities so that you don't have to go get a doctor's prescription to find out what the hell is wrong with you. And there's so many people that are educating on the fact that our government's literally poisoning us with our food and everything else that's going on. And so we're finally in an era where people are sick of the fake stuff. They're sick of the drama. They're sick of the chaos, and they want the country back that they were born into, so that they can be proud to be Americans again. And I am so glad that I finally figured out why I have a radio station. Because, for the first year of me doing this, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, Jimmy. We're booking artists. We're like, I don't know why I got the radio. It's a pain in the butt for me to keep up with. And
well, I think you're killing it.
Definitely no.
But to go back Going back to your first question, though, my ex-wife passed away now like 10 months ago, and it kind of put me in an emotional conundrum dealing with my own mourning, but really my children more than anything. And and uh, and also we were divorced for several years, but I still cared about her a lot, and it was a shock because it was not something that any of us thought was going to happen. What might have been like a bad medical situation was something she was living with 3 or 4 years turned into like, oh, you got like 6 weeks. First they said 6 months and then 6 weeks, but it ended up being more like 2 weeks. So the shock of that kind of put us in a situation where I was like, I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life, because I planned on being there in West Texas for another 10 years due to our custody agreement. And because that was over, and I had just decided, you know what, let me sell and get rid of these other businesses because I just can't do them right now. I can't focus on teaching. I can't focus on running the promotion. I can't focus on, consulting or training anyone. But what I did want to do was play music, because music has always been a place to heal my heart, and as a way to release cathartic energy and pain. And so I decided to just get on the road and go play music everywhere. So we got on the road. And at first I thought, well, I'm going to go to South Florida. That was one of my biggest markets. That's where I got signed, and Angel first got released, and my biggest fan base, and still a lot of my best adult friends that I made lived there. And we got to the beach, and 3 days sitting on the beach, I was like, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to sit on the beach. I'm not ready for that. I said, I want to play music. So then I was like, you know what? You never been to Asheville, Carolina. It's a good music town. Went out there, beautiful, waterfalls, beautiful land, nice people. But I wasn't feeling the music scene. And I was like, all right, Nashville. I've been to Nashville many times. I always enjoyed it. And I got out to Nashville, and I was like, man, this is like LA with cowboy hats now. And I've been out to LA a few times, and I was like, I'm not feeling this. And we came back through to OKC, and one of our not planned trips when I was going to see my daughter Malia in San Antonio, which was our first destination, was Austin, because Aspen, one of our winners oh yeah, by the way, everyone pray for Aspen. He's had to have some type of heart surgery stuff, but I think he's going to be okay. But it was pretty scary, and that was just this week. Um, but one of the most amazing artists and friends I made during the 8.5 years doing the show, he's like, "Hey man, come by and see me." And I was like, "Hey, it's only a couple hours." So we stopped in, saw him, went and played some shows. And that actually was the first stop of our trip before we went to San Antonio, and then New Orleans and Tampa, and South Florida before we went to Carolina, Nashville, Oklahoma City, back to Texas. And I thought to myself when I got back, I thought, okay, I just did a unintentional vision quest to go and find purpose in what we're supposed to be doing for the next whatever. And obviously it was music. And obviously it was me focusing on my own music again, which is something I hadn't done since I had left the label in 2007. And I was like, you know what? We need to go to Austin. That's where I was feeling it. I was feeling that vibe. And so we moved to Austin for about 8 months. And while there, I met a producer named Sterling that had actually done 6 in the Morning for Aspen. And I loved it so much, as well as the price point. And I was like, okay, this guy's doing my next 2 singles. I'd already done my first single in 14 years at Audio Dallas, where Willie Nelson recorded Redheaded Stranger. And that was Girl Like You. And then when we got to Austin, I wasn't sure what we were gonna do, but we ended up doing Black and Blue next, because that was the second to last song I had written about Christy, my ex, who had passed away. And so out of tribute, I wanted to do that song just for her. And it was also kind of a fan favorite too of my catalog. And I loved it, came out great. And then there was this song that I just fell in love with. It's one of my favorites my whole life, and it was Pearl, which is about self-love, the one you played at the opening. And that song was so important to me because I've been on such a self-love journey the past several years, which is one of the reasons why, the shape I'm in today at 51, it's not vanity, it's not workout obsession. a little bit of fear and health, and my dad and Christy passing away around the same time. And I was just, but really, it was about a self love journey, and I couldn't, you know, I was for about 10 or 15 years since I left the label, I was just doing enough. Just enough to get by, just enough. I mean, even though people are like, man, did you own this business, that? I know, but still for me, because I'm a different type, my mom, the Thai people, the way they work, like my mom makes me look like a bum. But my point is, I went on this self-love journey, and then we recorded Pearl, and I just got the final back. The one you played is actually a rough that I haven't, is uploaded, but I don't know if it's up there yet. It's the one with my ab shot. And I know a lot of my friends bag on me about that, but I was like, it was the only photo that day that would upload. I'm not that into myself. I just needed a photo to put on it. And so I had my first 3 singles in 14 years, and I was so fired up about that because I hadn't created any new music that was like on a pro level. And but after we did that, I was like, there was like something about Austin. I was just like, yeah, but you know what? This ain't it either. And so I made my way back to South Florida. I'm actually in the Orlando area first, and I wanted to be in a new market, and it's close to South Florida. And we've only been here, I think, 3 weeks or so. But I've already booked a show in Orlando on June 8th. I have two shows in Boca Raton, May 31st and June 1st at the Duck Tavern in Boca. And then, I'm just playing music again and being in my heart and in my soul and focusing on the thing that really drives me. And one of our goals, and why I brought Bud back on the crew, was we're establishing Jimmy Ninja Entertainment not only in a new town here in Orlando, but getting back in South Florida and getting in contact with entertainment groups and booking companies and record labels. And I have meetings next week in South Florida with record labels. We just got some feedback from an entertainment group here about Pearl, and so I'm just trying to really make up for some lost time, because while I was doing the Texas Songwriters Championship, Ninja Cowboy and Jimmy Ninja music had taken a back seat, if at all. But the last 3 years, I really worked on getting back on track with it. And I'm really proud of that. I'm real excited about where we're at today. And that journey has shown me something very important. And that's that I'm not really looking to go anywhere. What I'm looking to do right now is take my brand everywhere. So one of my grassroots efforts is to take the Ninja Cowboy sound to these different markets and network and meet people and share music and share stories and share food and share laughs and share love, and just, I'm not trying to, like, I know the industry is corrupt. I know the entire industrial complex is corrupt. I'm not playing for their favor. I'm not waiting to get big enough again where a sponsor says, hey, we're going to give you $50,000 and you're going to sponsor our service or item, but make sure on this political view, you feel this way or feel that way. I'm not interested in any of that, because number one, I choose authenticity over perfection. I don't believe in perfection. For me, perfection is if you can stay authentic every day. And so with my music, whether it's grassroots or if the good Lord chooses to put us out in the entire world, which I already know he is, but it's not I don't even want to do that, to be honest. I feel like Jonah in the well. God's like, I thought I went back to Abilene to retire and put my guitar away and just play for fun. And the Creator told me, no, I'm getting you ready to go back out again. You're up at bat again. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. But I also didn't want to sit in the belly of the well. And that's what I felt like, living in the grip. So I decided to get back out. And it's been challenging. It's been tough. It's definitely not my easy, cushy life in the grip, but I'm very inspired right now. I just wrote one of the best songs of my life called Lakeland. And I'm just really fired up about what we're doing. The kids, I fulfilled several dreams. The one I've been manifesting for a while was just to get me and the kids back on the beach. And we're like an hour away. And then where we'll be in South Florida, I might be across the street, depending on if I get lucky or not. But that was a huge dream, because I grew up in the desert in Abilene after they brought me to the jungle in Thailand. And, and I loved it. I didn't know America was any different. And then, by the time I was 28, I think I went to South Florida for the first time for NCAA Nationals in Daytona. And I just fell in love with the ocean and just lived there 17 years. And when I came back from my dad's health and to watch my family, um, I just dreamt about getting back to it. And one of the, I'd wanted to give my children either one or two gifts before they got too old. It was either to get them on a farm or get them by the beach. And the beach was a little bit more doable. So we've just been enjoying beach life, and I've been trying to take it easy and at the same time work diligently. I don't believe in being busy. I believe in being productive. There's a big difference between being busy and being productive. I tend to produce. I don't just run myself ragged, because that's how I ended up with a fractured back, for almost 3 years and 5 years total to heal from it. But one of the things the creator taught me during that ordeal was that you're going too hard, Jim. And if you don't slow down, you're going to break like you just did. So think about that. And then even recently, I went in for my first medical checkup since my last professional fight in 2011, maybe 6 months ago. And I'm in great shape. But the doc said, bro, your hypertension and your blood pressure are through the roof. And I said, that makes sense. Because like you, I just push and push and push, and even when I'm trying to relax, I'm on the phone working, and that I must be the most annoying. I can see why I don't have a romantic part. I can see why I don't have a romantic partner. Who'd want to hang out with somebody on the beach who can't get off their phone and da da da. So I've been working on that aspect of myself, because you can't just ebb.
Oh,
If you don't ebb and flow, you'll break. So I'm learning now to be a little less busy and a little more productive, and also a little bit more time for recuperation and rest and fun. And I'm excited about all the shows that are coming up, and the shows that are, and we're going to be doing a music video in Austin with Sterling. He also does music videos. He trained under a guy who had like mega hits in Nashville. He was an apprentice for this guy, and you can tell because his music, I mean, he just puts it together, and he makes that stuff sound like today. You know what I mean? That's one of the things I love about Sterling's. And I've worked with a lot of producers over the years. And I couldn't find what I was looking for in the grip, but I definitely found it in Austin. And he's going to be doing the music video for Pearl in the fall, I think around October, which I'm super excited about. And we're an indie label, Ninja Cowboy Records. We help promote a few artists, mainly Aspen Crouch. If you haven't heard Aspen Crouch, amazing artist, amazing voice, great story, a great friend. More than anything over the years, Aspen's been here for me
he
as a
is a
friend.
really, really awesome.
Yeah, and Danielle, who's
I had to commend him
their
because
team.
Usually when you hear an artist in person versus on the radio, it's like two completely different sounds. And Aspen sounds exactly like he does in the studio. And that I had to commend him on that, because that's something you don't find very often. A lot of times you're like, okay, I'm going to book this artist. It sounds great. And then you're like, what the hell was that? That being able to carry that same sound, and you're another one, his was like literally mirrored, like it was just insane how much he sounds exactly like his
which is interesting
voice.
which is interesting because he's one of the most authentic, kind people I know too, and he's a good friend. I've had a lot of challenges over the last 10 years of people that weren't quite a friend to themselves that I allowed into my circle, and then I allowed them to, treat me in a way that I wouldn't appreciate. And it's taken me a while to learn that that's on me. My boundaries have to be stronger, and I have to have enough self-love, even though my cutoff game is real powerful. But one of the things about me, I don't really cut anyone off. I let people know how I feel, and I shut the door, but I never lock it. I just usually leave it for the person to come to me now and bring an olive branch, because I'm like you. I'm gonna say what I need to say, and if I'm right, I'm right, and if I'm wrong, I'm okay with being wrong. I have enough courage to apologize to people, and I do all the time. But I'm also I believe in myself and I believe in my mission here. I believe in my story, in my talents and my gifts. Some days I'm more tired than others and the gifts don't shine like they do, but I don't give up. I don't chicken out. We talked about books earlier. I mean, I think for me, there's all kinds of Bibles out there. Every culture has their Bible. Every person has their Bible. But the Four Agreements for me by Don Miguel Ruiz changed my life. And I have a whole list of books that have changed my life after reading them. But that one in particular really changed my life. One of the Four Agreements is to always do your best. And whether you're sick or you're feeling fine, you still give your best effort at whatever you do. And the reason is, at the end of the day, even if you failed at whatever you were trying to accomplish, you know that you gave your best and you can feel good about that. And Abraham Hicks will teach you it's not about what you do, it's about keeping that feeling, that excitement, that happiness, that passion that so many of us lose doing what we do, even things we're passionate about, because we allow others or the situation or poor planning or whatever to, soak it out of us. A lot of people think sometimes I don't care when something doesn't work out. That's not true at all. I'm maintaining my level of acceptance and surrender, as Eckhart Tolle would say, and I keep myself in a good, positive place so that I continue to attract these blessings and continue to attract the right partners and work in the right situation. So to me, the journey is not so much a commercial one as it is a spiritual one. I think everyone in life should be seeking their spiritual journey first. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about your own personal journey with yourself, healing yourself. If you want to involve a higher power, great. If you don't need to, because it's yourself that you need to be healing to be a better person every day, which will make you feel better every day. So me focusing on that so much, and luckily because I was so into martial arts and fighting, which was really a trauma response from the violence and abuse I grew up around as a young person, seeking that martial arts and MMA and becoming a champion and also losing fights and fighting for a world title, it led me into another spiritual journey of self-mastery, and that self mastery is what's helped me to grow as a person and as a business person and as a parent, as a friend, as a musician. So I recommend to any artist out there who might be paying attention to this, maybe for songwriting, is that one of the best things you can do for your career is to work on your self healing journey, because the stronger you become inside here, the stronger everything you project outside of you will become. But it's real hard to
Well,
project a
and
success.
you have to believe in yourself in order for anyone else to. That's first. You have to respect yourself in order for anyone else to. That's second. And third, if you can master those first two things, you're on your way to setting yourself on fire. And when you do that, people pay to watch you burn.
Mm-hmm.
I took that
So it's been.
literally and became a fire performer. I ate fire for a living.
Ooh, I didn't
Now I'm
know
learning
that.
how to
I
control the fire inside of me.
right.
Yeah, I
Well,
have. I
that's
mean,
where
I
the
could.
meditation.
I'm not.
That's where the meditation and the physical discipline come in, because
Yeah,
when you learn to do those things, you can learn to control your mind. And most everybody's um, physiology and biochemistry work similar, and so most of us are plagued by a overactive mind and thought process, especially if you have a lot of concerning situations going on in your life. So learning to control your
it's a
mind through,
chemical,
like, I teach all my
literally.
students. I teach all my students the 10-second meditation, because if you can learn to listen to your breathing in your nose and out of your mouth and just kind of zone off in that, almost like a daydream for 10 seconds, and then you go longer and longer. I've done up to almost an hour now. That level of control, one, gives you control back over your overactive computer, and then that level of control now helps you to manifest in a way that you want to, as opposed to a way that subconsciously you're programmed to. So when you learn
Right.
that,
So
it
you
changes
respond
everything.
instead of react. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
responding instead of reacting. And setting boundaries is a big one, especially when you're an empath like myself and Jimmy, because we care so much, we will kill ourselves caring. Like it's literally like
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm at right now, is having to set boundaries around my care. And I actually had a
Mm-hmm.
couple ministers tell me that God's message said I'm not supposed to care. And I'm like, how do I, like, that's never going to happen. There's never going to be a day that Cynthia is just like, I don't care. But you know what? Those days are
Right.
back. And that's what I literally have to do every time something goes absolutely nuts. I'm like, I don't care. The only thing I'm supposed to care about is my own personal journey, and I can't control that. So let it screw itself up. I don't care. And it usually ends
Yeah.
up screwing itself up and it coming out better than what I planned. So it's becoming easier to not care. And it's such a weird thought process for me, because I've literally spent my whole life being a vigilante, because like you said, that trauma and those things that we experienced as a child, and what it does is it does chemically affect your brain. It changes your brain. It changes your way of thinking. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it is because you're surging with hormones, which is why you get that quick snap in and you want to hit things. And then you're also, your potassium levels are high. And so because that's your body's defense to kill off bad bacteria, is that potassium. They use that in the lethal injection. So that's what I was going through, is that I eat healthy. So every single day I was eating spinach, tomatoes, and avocados in a salad. Those are three of the most highest potassium plants that there are. And I was stuffing my face with it every single day, on top of already having that heightened chemical in my brain from the fight and flight response. And it literally was to the point where, like you said, my blood pressure was stroke level. I got taken out of here laying on my bed by an ambulance 3 weeks ago. I had been laying in bed all day long, got a shitty text message. I didn't even respond to it. I just looked at it. It sent my blood pressure to 150 over 127, and my heart rate was 113, and I had pain in my chest just because I read a crappy text message. But it's all because I haven't set boundaries for my feelings. And you have to set
Right.
boundaries. Like, it's a choice. Every single thing that we deal with is a choice. Am I going to choose to focus on this thing that didn't work out the way I wanted to? Or am I going to choose to focus my 80% of my time on the 20% of things that are working out, so that more things start working out? And it's literally that easy, but it's not easy at all. Because we do
Let me
have the
share.
fight between our flesh.
Right. Let me share some thoughts on what you just said. Going back to the care thing, like it's okay to always care. What we need to not do is not overburden ourselves with other people's responsibilities. And hello.
I'm on a show.
And we don't want to overburden ourselves with other people's responsibilities, and a lot of times we have to set boundaries so that we can guard that. But I never stop caring about people. I just often have to put myself first sometimes, and make sure that I'm taking care of me first, because you can't pour from a broken cup. And so that operating system of making sure you're okay before you make sure everyone else is okay is so important for success. And then our body reacts to whatever's going on in front of us. So if we are triggered by a argument or a call, or I've never cried so much as I have in the last 6 months, and I can just look at something that reminded me of Christy or something and bust into tears for 10 minutes. And and what happens on that is, your mind keeps record of the traumas that you've been through. And so if something triggers you, it will trigger a biochemical reaction, and your body actually produces all these chemicals. And one of the things I like about, I think it's Gary Brecka, I've been learning from him a lot lately, and he talks a lot about methylation and just your kind of your biochemical makeup. And there's things you can add to your body. Like I've been taking this one methylation thing for the blood pressure and heart and hypertension, and it's great because it's kept me off unnatural pharmaceuticals. It kept me from having to use my doctor for anything more than the initial checkup and test. And he was going to totally put me on all these different medications that would have made things worse. But I'm always a holistic guy, so I always look for a holistic answer first. And and that's one of the
This is
wonderful
what
things
I
about self. Yeah. What is that? I think that might be the same thing I got. Is it TMZ or something like that?
It's
But you
theanine with
know,
Riola. It's called.
oh, I don't know.
So
That's
what
different.
this is the the nutritional store said that. So when our minds start spinning in circles with thoughts that we can't like, they're just so fast we
Right.
can't keep up with them. It's because our
Right.
GABA levels are low. And so this vitamin, when I
Okay.
took it and my blood pressure was so high, like because I've always described my mind as being a room full of mouse traps and someone threw a ping pong ball in there and now all of a sudden they're going ding, 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 and that's why I'm interrupting people, is because the thoughts are going like a Rolodex, and if I don't grab the important ones, they're gone. And so I took these and my mind stopped doing that. I literally thought I was dying. I jumped up, grabbed my blood pressure cup and checked my blood pressure because I thought that it had just gone too low and my body was letting go.
Right.
And what it was is these actually, after I finally did get some neuro blockers for my heart arrhythmia, because they didn't want to give me anything for it because they didn't want to ruin my perfect health. And I was like, bro, I'm literally dying, y'all. You're going to have to just bust out some. I don't like taking medicine, period. But you're going to have to give me some or
Right.
I'm not going to survive. And so when
I
my doctor
understand. I
finally
mean, it helps short term.
5 doctors later, and this guy's not even a doctor, he's a nurse practitioner. That's who's finally helping me, is the nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on anxiety medication and my heart arrhythmia medication. But these vitamins, he's like, Cynthia, I don't know what those vitamins are. And I was like, well, I can tell you right now, I don't care what they are. I'm taking them because they have changed my life. I honestly don't know how I was living without them. And then I got to reading on the back of them, and these actually, the taurine, and this is maybe why we always feel better with energy drinks, but the taurine in here helps support the movement of potassium out of our neurons. So it helps keep the potassium that affects our brain, that makes us go when we have those traumatic experiences, from overloading our neurons and zapping us out. And
Gotcha.
that's a crazy thought process, because they're not out here telling people to watch their potassium. They're just out here shoving whatever pharmaceuticals down our throats they can, or just telling us that we're perfect, or even just giving us lithium bipolar medication because they'd rather dope us up than deal with the issue.
Okay. Hey, real quick, I have about 10 minutes, so I wanna wrap on a few thoughts, and if you have any last questions, but um, yeah, I want to finish my thought on that, and that was, but I've always been a holistic person, and I'm, I believe in diet. I think it was Socrates that says food is our medicine, and medicine is our food. So finding good sources of food and having a healthy diet has really been key for me. That's how I've, I started off with carnivore first for 3 months, which really helped me quite a bit. I didn't believe in it, and I told other people, "Oh, that's terrible for your cholesterol, blah blah blah," but it was actually extremely effective. But I don't prefer it because I'm a foodie, and so I need to have my different tastes. I don't want to steak every day, and so I've switched back to keto and very low carb. But it's been very effective for me. I don't really use any medications or supplements because you can get most everything you need from the right foods. But I definitely stay away from, most of the toxic manufactured foods, but not always. I think you need to always have a little bit of room for junk so that you can kind of maintain like strict diet, or not a strict diet. My food I eat, and I post it almost every day. It's delicious. There's nothing being taken away from my food. I just learned to focus on eating the right things that were healthy. One, two, an exercise program is crucial because when you exercise, your body is creating endorphin and dopamine and all these amazing chemicals that make you feel great. And so you got to have an exercise program, and then just your support system around you, and being able to talk to people, or maybe have a significant other, or just things that make you happy, knowing what they are. I've always been kind of a lone person, not lonely, but a person who spends a lot of time alone and feels very comfortable alone. And the reason is that's where I found most of my comfort as a child. I have a theory that most great athletes and artists and songwriters and comedians are kind of like that. So they spend a tremendous amount of time alone. And like I've played, tens of thousands of hours for people live, but I've probably played millions by myself. And I just want to leave this for a lot of the artists who may or may not watch this, that if you want your career and your music and all that stuff to take off for you, focus on your healing journey and your health. And the reason is your health is a part of your healing journey, and it's easy. If you just spend 30 minutes a day 5 days a week, 3 days. If you're not doing any, 1 day. And have super easy programs like the 40s program that takes 5 minutes. If you do it in 2 weeks, you'll feel stronger. And it only takes 5 minutes a day. I created that for myself because when I was coming out of my divorce, I was so depressed. I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't be around other people. I needed something that I could do every day really quick, because I didn't want to do it. And also, it had to be something so easy that I would berate myself if I could do this 5 minute thing. And then it was a thing you had to do for 40 days in a row. And if you missed a day, you had to start over at day one, which was the beautiful aspect of it because it teaches you consistency. And consistency is another key factor to success that most people lack. A lot of people are great out of the gate, but to do something for 8.5 years and it be successful is a completely different animal. And you also, when you do the self-healing journey and you find out all the things that you have a false idea of what you think it's good, but really it's a false idea of something that's not good, like chasing money or chasing women or chasing liquor, or chasing approval. When you heal yourself from those things, again, you're adding to what is of value, which is taking care of yourself and then taking care of those around you who are reciprocal in that relationship. And so those are my biggest takeaways. And then I
Right.
will say about music before we get off, because I have to feed the kids. They haven't eaten, and I got back in the gym, so we're like almost 2.5 hours.
I've got to eat too.
They're
My
gonna start
sugar's
freaking
about
out
to
in a
crash.
second.
I can feel it.
Yeah. I haven't eaten yet today either, so, but I intermittent fast every day.
Yeah, well, they tell you for a reason to grab the oxygen mask and put it on yourself in the plane before you put it on your kid. Because you
right.
can't save anyone if you don't save yourself first.
Well, that goes back to the martyr story. A lot of people are taught that being a martyr is the greatest story. If you don't crucify yourself, if you don't be this martyr for everyone, you're not being Christ-like. You do not have value. But honestly, that's a manipulation story that was created by big industry in the beginning because they wanted everyone to be workers. They wanted everyone to feel bad if you weren't willing to build someone else's industrial complex for them. I love Christ. I love the story. I live by his teachings of love,
100%.
but I don't buy into any of the propaganda that they try
It's
to
the
wrap around it to
government.
force us to be slaves.
There
And I want to
are
finish with
false
this.
teachers. There are so many.
Yeah, but I want to finish with this on the music side. I'm always willing to help. 5 minutes. I'm always willing to help. If anyone wants to reach out, you can always email me at Jimmy Ninja Entertainment. I had this amazing person put up with my crap and build me a beautiful website that I'm finally starting to learn how to use, jimmyninjaofficial.com. And you can contact me if
He
you want to
has
ask
some
me any
really
questions.
awesome merch on there.
I didn't even know that.
He has some really awesome merch.
Anyway, so if you
Yeah,
do have a
you
question and
messaged
you
me
want to
about
follow
it.
up, yeah, if you want to follow up, you can ask me something. I don't mind taking 5 minutes out for people. Anything over that, I'll charge you. I'll send you an invoice. And but my last thoughts on the music side, someone told me once, he was actually our season 1 winner, Jonathan Hester, and he said, "Jimmy, I never play songs I like. I only play songs I love." And I think that's true about life. All the stuff that you like or you think that get rid of it. Get rid of it. Start only focusing on what you love. And if you're a writer and you're working on all these songs, you got all these songs and you're just cranking out quantity, quit doing that. Go back to the quality, focus on what's working, focus on what you love, and stay in that frequency because that's the frequency of winning. And that's why I've been in this winning season for some time. And when you're not, this is very important too. Learn to be easy with yourself. I've always been my worst critic. All the abusive voices in my head from when I was young stayed in my head when I grew up. And I became my biggest abuser. And I had to learn to let that go and to be kinder to myself. And that's what Pearl is about. So make sure you go to Spotify and check out Pearl. The newest edition, the one with my stomach, is the final version from Austin, Texas, produced by Sterling. and share it with your friends. Join our Facebook page, Ninja Cowboy. Go to our website, JimmyNinjaOfficial.com. You can email me at Jimmy Ninja Entertainment. If all that's too much, just Google Jimmy Ninja and you'll find me. But we're looking forward to the shows we got coming up here in Florida soon. And we're also looking back to coming back to Texas. I do not know for sure, but I'm trying really, really, really hard to make sure I don't miss the dates that are scheduled, because I like to keep my word. It's more of a financial situation because of the moving is a very big cost, especially when it's to another state and a state like Florida. But I am looking at um, options of possibly not missing, because I do have the two dates, the one you have and then another one in the Abilene at Ice House. So if it's possible, but right now, don't take this as like, yeah, that's what's happening. I'm just letting y'all know I'm really trying my best to find some money in the budget to make these trips. But it's not like going to Dallas. It's not a 3-hour trip from Abilene. Um, this is a 1,000-mile trip and a lot to do for not. So I'm really excited for what you've done. I hope you continue. I hope if you get to the point with where I did, where you need to focus on something else to keep your
Oh,
sanity,
there's
that
definitely no
you find a
stopping.
great person. Good. And I'm really proud of you for what you've done. Getting to meet some of the artists at the show in Fort Worth was amazing. I'm a really big fan of Justin Penter right now. He's going to be making me some leather coasters, Ninja Cowboy coasters. So get at him if you want your own leather coasters. I don't think that guy will be making leather coasters too long. He's incredibly talented and authentic, and I'm a big fan of him. Check out some of the other
I actually just brought up his
seasons,
name on in the last dinner earlier.
and check out some of the other season winners like Aspen
I think I'm
Crouch,
gonna go.
Jonathan Hester. There were so many. It's so hard for me to, and if I leave people out, I apologize. But those guys were like, I just think, we all think, oh, we should be big. You should be this. You should be that. None of that matters. Be authentic and love what you do every day. That's what matters. All right, hey, I have to go because my kids have started banging on the door. It's going to get worse if I wait much longer. I love you. Send my love to Matt and the kids. I hope you guys are all doing great. And we'll see what happens. It's been a really insane year so far for me. It's been amazing, ups and downs. I'm a little bit on a love journey as well, but I'm out here swinging for the fences because that's what you do. Life is too short and unexpected for you to be settling for anything, and so you need to be out there fighting for what you want.
You gotta aim for the moon. That way, if you miss, no, for sure, you gotta aim for the moon. That way, if you miss, you at least land amongst the stars.
Yeah.
And another book
Ninja
that
Cowboy
I
up.
Drop right before we leave. Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world, the greatest salesman. That book will teach you discipline because it's a book of 30 scrolls, but you're supposed to read each scroll for 30 days before you switch to the next one. And that's hard to not just skip through all the scrolls and read them all. You have to
message me
for that book to work, but that book is amazing. I will
message me that book, and if any,
I'm gonna go on to our Facebook page, Texas Brew Radio.
Okay.
And I'm gonna create an album that says what book changed your life. And on that photo, I want everybody, I don't care if you watch this interview 20 years from now, go find that album and tell us what book changed your life.
Yeah, and check out my book. You can order your own copy, Eternal Energy and Information by author Jimmy Ninja Chaikong. If you want to listen to it for free, it's on my YouTube under the same handle. It's a self-biographical book about my life and how I got to where I'm at, and I'm working on my next one. And God bless everybody. Keep your head up. I know there's a lot going on with a lot of people right now, and it's not to harm you, it's to heal you, it's to teach you. And when this retrograde is finished, you're going to feel a huge propulsion forward but with knowledge and information that you learned during this eclipse season, that's going to help you to be even more successful than if you hadn't had to go through it. Because when the prosperity comes, it's the lesson from the down times that helps you to hold that prosperity. So God bless everybody. Ninja Cowboy up. Ki ya ha. Love you, Cynthia. Texas Songwriters, tell your story.
For sure. Hero. Just like an arrow, we sometimes have to be drawn back in order to hit our target. I'm ready for it. You're ready for it. The world, we don't care if you're ready for it or not. We're here for it. I am going to play one last song as we leave Ninja Cowboys. He said black. Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Black and blue.
You could take me down, 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 down. Pummel me once you were on the ground, just the way you did when you broke my heart. No one ever said it would be this hard to let you loose, my darling. It's not a ghost enemy that's hollering, like a hound dog stuck in a hollow log, like a rifle killing off a wild hog. Not a man or thing I fear. I must be dead 'cause I've been drunk for a year. And tell me how eyes are blue, and a girl about 5'2", man, kicked my ass and left me